Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the channel World of Wrestling, here today to discuss about AEW Dynamite February 23rd, 2022, and review. And boy, oh boy, guys, I gotta admit, this was a hell of a fucking show, despite the fact we were getting a Bryan Danielson versus Daniel Garcia match, which made me think for a moment we were going to get just a lackluster fucking show, laid back kind of thing. But damn, did these promos steal this show? They made up for everything that was going on, whether the matches were going to be good or not. And man, I'll tell you what, the hype up going into this pay-per-view, pretty damn good. But where was the build for the last 2 months or so? I mean, Eddie Kingston and Jericho really had the best build, along with CM Punk and MJF. Those were the two matches that were really built. The rest of the matches weren't really built all that well. I'll be honest with you. I mean, in the last few weeks, though, we've gotten some decent build towards these other matches. But let's get real, guys. I mean, Adam Cole and Hangman Page was kind of a 3-week build. That's all we really got out of this. I'm really kind of disappointed a little bit with the build on the World Championship. I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. I honestly think that CM Punk versus MJF in that dog collar match should be the main event of this entire pay-per-view. I really think that. These two guys have a great build. They have a really good fucking stipulation match that I think is going to steal the entire show. I think this is going to be the best match, really. I think these two guys are going to go at it, and they are going to bleed like stuffed pigs. And this is going to be an all-out war, big time. And MJF's promo, I don't know if that was real. I don't know if that was just part of the show. I couldn't tell what the fuck that was. But if he was faking it and it wasn't, legit, and it was just part of a storyline, my God, man, the guy shouldn't even be a wrestler. He should be a gosh darn actor. I'm dead serious. He shouldn't be a wrestler. He should be an actor, because he sold me on that promo 100%. I have never seen any human being tear up like that as a pro wrestler, ever in my life. He convinced me he was an actor if he was faking it. So hopefully the promo he did was real and it wasn't a work. If it was a work, jeez, man, that kudos to MJF, big time. He ought to be an actor. Fuck being a wrestler. I'm dead serious. But yeah, that was an unbelievable promo. Man, I'll get into that with you guys in just a few short moments, because I was actually right in the first hour of the show. Wrestling-wise, I mean, I wasn't too hyped up for the wrestling end of things tonight. I don't think it was all that great. And that's not a big deal, because personally, I like the promos better from a week-to-week basis, unless you have a really good match that's going to take place on the show that was already set up for that episode. But personally, guys, I'm not too hyped on the week-to-week matches, because let's be honest, we don't usually get what we used to get back in the day. I mean, back in the day, week to week, we had one episode elevate above the other each and every week. Now wrestling isn't like that. 1 minute it could be a really good show, and the next minute it could be a downgraded show. So at the end of the day, I look more towards the promos than anything else. I think, to be quite frank with you, I think reality television would be kind of the best concept to use in wrestling. But, I mean, some people might take that and say, nah, that's not the right way to go. And hey, I mean, I guess maybe the standard concept of what they've been doing is the right way to go. I mean, Lucha Underground did it. They did reality TV along with wrestling involved. They kind of did it in a movie concept. format, but I think maybe reality TV would be a good way to help elevate the show, and it wouldn't be as retarded as these other reality TV shows. I mean, God help us, these other reality TV shows are a fucking joke. I think reality TV would work better in pro wrestling the way I just how I feel about it. But the first thing that took place on this show, just to kickstart everything, was the Battle Royal to determine one of the number one contenders for the tag team titles. The winners of this match was the Red Dragon, which is Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. They originally were teaming together with the Young Bucks during this match, helping each other out, keeping each other in the matchup itself. But near the end, Kyle O'Reilly and I believe it was Matt Jackson were the final two guys left out of their alliance. And they were trying to eliminate John Silver, and Kyle O'Reilly was acting as if he couldn't throw him over the top rope with Matt Jackson. So he said, just throw him over, my arm's fucked up. And he threw him over, and while he was throwing him over, Kyle O'Reilly followed from behind Matt Jackson and threw him out of the ring with his good arm and eliminated both of them in the process of doing this. And they won the match. So it was a very dirty tactic by Kyle O'Reilly. And the Young Bucks were really pissed. They got in the middle of the ring. They were upset. And out comes Hangman Page. So he comes out. They all clear the ring. Well, the Young Bucks were like, hey, you want him? Go ahead, get him. I mean, we're fucking pissed at him anyway, so you can beat him up all you want. So he tried to go ahead and attack him, and they just ran off and whatnot. And Adam Cole came from behind and was going to attack him. He retaliates and counters his attack, and then he was trying to go for the buckshot lariat, but Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly pulled him out of the ring so he wouldn't get hit with that maneuver. And then John Silver came in. I think along with the other members of the Dark Order, they attacked the three men from behind from the Undisputed Era. I'll just call them Undisputed Era for right now because they ain't got a legit name yet at this point. And they attacked those three guys. And John Silver threw Kyle O'Reilly in the middle of the ring. And he did the buckshot lariat and hit Kyle O'Reilly with that. As Kyle O'Reilly was rolling out of the ring, Adam Page goes ahead. He opens up the steel chair and he starts to act like Adam Cole, and he says, it's now story time with Adam Hangman Page, baby. And I'm like, holy shit. Wow, that was funny. I was like, I gotta give him credit for that. That was a really good shot at Adam Cole. And he pretty much said, you know what, pal? 8 years ago, your sorry, stinky little cocky ass came into pro wrestling, or in 2008, I should say, came into pro wrestling, and you went ahead and acted like you were the biggest star on every promotion you were in, and you won a championship in every promotion. Gotta give you credit for that, he says. But he says the one thing you ain't doing is you're not becoming world champion in this promotion as long as I'm the world heavyweight champion. That gave me a little bit of a hype up going into this match. This match is really looking good. I mean, based on wrestling ability, knowing what these two men can do in the ring, I am looking forward of these two guys going at it one-on-one. But the one issue that I didn't like with this whole thing is the setup, the build. Build was not exactly what you would call a good build. It was kind of like thrown together at the last minute because they, have MJF in the middle of a storyline with CM Punk. And I guess really at this point they don't have any other opponents to go to at this point for Hangman Page to go up against, except for Adam Cole, who's been legitimately on a winning streak and is ranked number 1 in their heavyweight division. So they gave him the match at the last minute so that they would have a world championship match at the pay-per-view. Personally, they made a mistake. They should have not put a world championship match with Lance Archer in the middle of the Road to Revolution. I think that this match should have been announced sooner than what they did. I don't think these title defenses need to happen every single month. If you're not going to have a pay-per-view every single month like WWE does, that's fine. But the champion doesn't have to defend the title every fucking month. It's ridiculous. That's just like copying WWE without having the 12 pay-per-views per year. I mean, that's just kind of ridiculous. I honestly don't see it that way. I kind of like the old concept where the champion just defends it every so often. Doesn't have to defend it every single month. But unfortunately, that's what they do, and it makes it have to go. It makes them have to go based off of a 1-month build going into the upcoming pay-per-view that they have only once every 4 months, possibly, depending on where you're at in the year. Because sometimes, like, the next pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, is like 2 to 3 months after that. So, I mean, personally, it's not always 4 months, but in most cases it is. Yeah, personally, I feel that this was given not the proper build, but despite the fact of the build, we are going to get a good match out of these two. These guys are good wrestlers. And Adam Cole's an entertainer, and a good wrestler at the same time. I mean, a lot of people will say, oh, he's a vanilla midget and he can't he's shit, blah, blah, blah. You know what, man? You put him up against a guy like an AJ Styles, a Shawn Michaels, at a WrestleMania, and I guarantee you he'll sell out that fucking arena with one of those two guys. Guarantee you. Because the guy is a great wrestler. And if you put him up against those type of names, people are going to enjoy him for who he is. They're not going to care anymore about his height stature. And I hate that fucking crap. Yeah, I'm 5'6", okay? I'm Rey Mysterio's height. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. People gripe and groan about color. They gripe and groan about gender. They gripe and groan about this, that, and the other. You know what people don't do all the time? They don't gripe and groan about height. Well, you know what? I think people should gripe and groan about height because we don't have fucking control over what height we are. And I personally feel that anyone from any height stature deserves to have a shot at being a world champion or being in a main event scene based on how well they can perform and entertain an audience. And a guy like Orange Cassidy, he deserves to be in a main event scene. What's happening to him in AEW, I do not like. I don't think it has anything to do with his height. Definitely not his height. It has to do with the fact that there's a lot of other big names that came from WWE that was giving an unfair opportunity, and they were stripped away of their ability to do what made them great in the ring and make them entertaining, and they're coming over to AEW, and that's the reason why a guy like Orange Cassidy is being kind of pushed to the side for right now until later on in the future. So that's pretty much the situation there. Following up with that, with Hangman Page and Adam Cole's post promo after that Battle Royale, we had MJF show up. MJF, man, folks, he really convinced me that this was legit. This was a legit shoot. This was not a work promo. I'm not sure if it was a work promo or it was a real promo. Or, if it was a work promo or a real promo. I really couldn't tell the difference. I don't know if it was real or it wasn't real. It could have been a work promo in a sense with a touch of reality, but mostly a work promo as a way of helping him get in the head of CM Punk. Because at the end of all this, he did come in the ring and ask MJF if what he is saying is true. He felt a little bit bad in a sense, which I don't understand why he would give a flying fuck what MJF has to say, because all the shit that MJF said has been very backstabbing, rude, and disrespectful to CM Punk for what he's done in his career and what he's done for the wrestling business. So, outside of the little stint he did with leaving WWE and going to UFC to try to make it in MMA, which he failed miserably, but at least he tried, he was frustrated with the wrestling in general. He didn't like the fact that he was I don't think he really wanted to leave pro wrestling, but because what WWE did to him psychologically, he just felt there was no point in being in wrestling anymore based on the fact the way he was being treated. Again, going off of height and stature. The guy doesn't have bulky muscles. He ain't some buffed up fucking meathead, okay? He's a normal, average-looking guy that's, fit. He's got cardio. He can go in a match for about 15 to 20 minutes plus, and that's what he can do. And he entertains people what he can do in the middle of the ring. He's a wrestler. He's not a sports entertainer. His entertainment is done through his ability to talk on the microphone, stand up to the machine of whatever he's fighting up against and say, fuck you. That is his entertainment portion of what he can do. The rest of it is what he does in the middle of the ring, which in most cases, he does a good job in the ring with everyone he wrestles with. So, personally, I understand what CM Punk was doing. The only issue that CM Punk did was he shit on the fans when he left WWE. Personally. The fans were the issue that I had. I mean, he was literally saying fuck wrestling, fuck the fans practically almost. And that's rubbed me the wrong way, which also did the same thing for MJF. MJF went into his promo stating that the comment that CM Punk said last week about him and MJF seeing each other when he was only 11 years old in 2007 and, getting an autograph from him and everything was just another Friday to him. To MJF, it was a whole lot more than just another Friday. Because he described the whole entire incident leading up to that autograph signing was he tried to join the football team. He literally did. He tried to join the football team. People thought he was going to be something in football, but he really wanted to be a wrestler in all retrospect. So he went ahead and he tried to do that, and he was actually successful making the football team. The only problem is the players on the team didn't particularly like him all that much. They made fun of him. They called him a Jew boy. And they threw quarters at him in his face and really mistreated him a lot based on the fact that he's Jewish, which I'm partially Jewish as well, and I don't particularly find that very amusing at all. So I get that idea. I don't know if this story is legitimately true. I don't know if it's legit or it's just storyline based to get in the head of CM Punk. This is where this whole promo threw me for a loop. I still, at this point, I don't know if this was a legit promo or this was just a partial reality, a real part of it was real, but most of it was a bunch of bull hockey to hype up the match and get into the head of CM Punk type of deal. So I don't know one way or another if this was real or just a work promo. But he goes on and he says that he was humiliated, made fun of, and he was upset. He felt really insulted. He also had a learning disability. He had ADHD, attention deficit disorder. And he had issues with focusing in school. So school for him was really a difficult thing to do. So after that incident with the other players back in the locker room, I should say, not backstage, but in the locker room, were mistreating him, treating him like shit, and he really almost just quit football altogether. But he was happy because he knew that he was going to be able to see CM Punk, who was his actual hero. He was a guy that he really respected a lot and enjoyed him on television and inspired him to want to be a wrestler. So he got into wrestling in 2013. And at that point, he was training. He was getting bulked up a little bit, getting into shape, and getting ready to get into the indies. Unfortunately, in 2014, in January, he ended up quitting WWE. And he said some remarks that hurt him a little bit. And he kind of felt like he shouldn't have continued. So he pretty much quit. He walked away from wrestling for a little while until he saw a Instagram, I believe it was Instagram or Twitter, of a photo of him shaking Daniel Bryan's hand at some location that he was at. I don't know if it was in the middle of a ring. I doubt it. I think it was just in person at some place, and they shook hands and everything. And he went ahead and he said, you know what? Fuck CM Punk. I'm going to go ahead and become the best in the world in spite of you. And I'm going to beat you one day, one-on-one. Which he did, technically, but it was not a legit win. He said to CM Punk, he said, you can do whatever you want to me. You can make me bleed buckets. But the one thing you won't do is pin me and beat me 1, 2, 3. At the end of all this, after you've beaten me to death, I will still come out on top and be the winner. And he was saying this with a lot of anger, a lot of intensity. I loved this promo. This was, I mean, every single time this man gets on a microphone, he somehow tops it from the last time he was on the microphone. I mean, he has his moments where he's kind of just, shooting the shit. But when he gets in these heated moments in his build with another opponent, he is on point. He is fucking makes it as real as possible and makes it feel legit, even though it's a work. That's why I'm saying I don't know if this was real or legit, or real or worked. I really don't. I have no idea what the fuck this was. And I guess that is the awesome part about this promo, is you really don't know. So anyway, he goes ahead, he shoots the entire promo, and Punk comes out and he's like, I thought he was mad, but he actually wasn't. He came out, walked down the ramp, no music, no nothing, got in the middle of the ring, didn't even grab a microphone to talk to this man. He spoke to him as if they were just in, at a normal place. It wasn't in the middle of a ring or anything like that. He just acted as if they were in a normal place after he heard something come out of his mouth, and he said, is that true? Did you really mean that? Is that the honest truth of what happened? Is that how you feel about me? Now, I don't know why CM Punk would ask that question at all personally, because of the fact that CM Punk already knew, MJF has already stated that he looked up to CM Punk when he was a kid. And CM Punk has shot him down because of the way he's acted and the way he's been, he's not been a respectful opponent. There's been no respect by MJF. He's been completely just a complete asshole. Now, maybe he came in there asking if it was the truth, maybe because now he understands where he's getting this attitude from and why he's acting the way he is. But still, I mean, this is MJF we're talking about. He's trying to get in your head. He's trying to soften you up, maybe make you feel like Maybe I'm being a little too hard on this guy. Maybe he's just got an attitude issue with me because of how I've acted in the past, and he's just an angry fan at me, and that's all this is. But instead, he's not doing that. He's buying into this bullshit, and really, in all honesty, he should just be going, you know what? Fuck this, man. I don't care. You couldn't beat me fair. My attitude is I'm going to destroy you. You want to beat me fair, that's one thing. You want to beat me with a diamond ring and smash me in the back of the skull with it? That's a different story, pal. Prove to me that you're the best in the world. Prove to me you're better than me. And that was something I was hoping he was going to say. Like, his normal catchphrase is, I'm better than you, and you know it. I was hoping MJF was going to say, I'm better than you, and I'm going to prove it. That would have been a really good catchphrase to say at the end of that promo. I think that would have been a really awesome promo to end it with that line. I'm better than you, and I'm going to prove it. Just changing and tweaking his catchphrase at the end of the promo. That would have been pretty awesome in my personal opinion. That's what I thought he was going to... That's what I was thinking he was going to say. But unfortunately, he didn't do that. That was a great promo. So the next match that came up, Malachi Black and Brody King going up against Penta and Pac again. This match ended with Pac and Penta winning the match, with Pac going ahead. Actually, no, not Pac. It was Penta who got a roll-up pinfall. It was a roll-up pinfall, a modified schoolboy type of maneuver on Malachi Black, and he got pinned 1, 2, 3. After the match, though, they made an attack on Penta and Pac, and out comes Buddy Matthews, formerly known as Buddy Murphy from WWE. Looks very much the same as he did in WWE. Now, he looks like he's about to make the save on Penta and Pac, but unfortunately, he turned on them and joined the House of Black. This role that Buddy Matthews is playing here is very similar to his role with Seth Rollins. The only thing is, this role is going to have consistency. He ain't going to be bouncing from one thing to another. One minute he's a tag team partner with Seth Rollins back in their time with the Messiah gimmick with fucking Seth Rollins. This is a totally different scenario. The only issue I have with this is Malachi Black's momentum has totally been destroyed. Personally, I think his match with Cody Rhodes should have ended after their first match. I don't think they should have ever fought each other again. I think the whole thing should have been done and over with. But unfortunately, Cody had to have his way, and now he supposedly may be going to WWE, but sources say he may or he may not. Nobody really fucking knows. They say he's going to the Performance Center to perform vignettes. There's few little hints thrown around on Monday Night Raw that he was supposedly being, kind of stated that he may show up or not. I'm not sure. Speaking of just some WWE rumors, Bully Ray happened to open up his big fat New York mouth again and state that he thinks Austin Theory should be facing Edge at WrestleMania. Holy fuck, dude. You gotta be kidding me. Edge. Bully Ray believes Edge should be Austin Theory's opponent. Has Austin Theory done anything lately of importance? I mean, hell, Finn Balor, who he had a series of matches week to week on Monday Night Raw, was more important this past Monday than Austin Theory was. Now, granted, they were probably selling what happened to him in the Elimination Chamber, I'll give him that. But let's be honest. He's a fucking lackey for Vince McMahon. He might as well be getting Vince McMahon a cup of coffee on Monday Night Raw than being an in-ring performer. Okay? So, spare me, Bully Ray, your beliefs and ideas. Thank God you don't book WWE, because you probably would do a worse job than Bruce Pritchard would. And Bruce Pritchard's a pretty fucking terrible booker and a storyline creator. But I think Bully Ray would take it to another fucking level. I wouldn't be surprised in the next year or so that Vince McMahon fires Bruce Pritchard to hire Bully Ray for a creative job so he can make the company even worse than it already is. Because like I said before, WWE always seems to find a way to impress us with their ability to lower the bar even lower than it already is. So, there's your small little rant here on the AEW Dynamite review, which has nothing to do with AEW. That was all WWE, which WWE always seemed to bring out the worst in me, but yet you guys love these rants, so I'll just throw them in once in a blue moon if I happen to come across something that really aggravates me. And hearing Bully Ray open up his big fat mouth again, like he did with the Goldberg-Roman Reigns match, which, by the way, if that would have happened, folks, you wouldn't have been getting any more WWE content on this channel ever again. I'd be fucking reviewing a little dinky little fucking wrestling promotion that performs in a fucking bingo hall at that point. I'm not kidding. But thank God that did not happen. And hopefully, by the grace of God, we don't have Austin Theory facing Edge. Because I don't give a fuck about Austin Theory right now. Austin Theory looked like a complete chump in that Elimination Chamber match. He looked pathetic. Okay? He was running around like a little child, running away from some big-ass fucking bully, instead of having enough balls to just stand up to the guy. If he takes a beating and loses, oh well, at least he had enough guts to stand up to the dude. He at least did a low blow. I will give him that. At least he low blowed him. But other than that, and the DDT, other than those two moves, Austin Theory didn't do shit. He looked fucking pathetic. And then he's climbing up the fucking side of the Elimination Chamber trying to run away. As if there's somewhere he's gonna go. Come on. Give me a fucking break with that shit. And I've already stated that on the Elimination Chamber review. So, that's just my feelings on that. So, Austin Theory, Bully Ray, please, spare us all with your ideas. They suck. Anyway, speaking of other things, I lost track of what the fuck I was gonna say. So yeah, Buddy Murphy, or Buddy Matthews. I need to get used to calling him Buddy Matthews instead of Buddy Murphy. He is now part of the House of Black. Their next segment actually was a segment with Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho. This was excellent. This was outstanding. Eddie Kingston comes out. He says, yo, what is this shit? They had a bunch of security guards for AEW with the AEW logo on the shirts, and they're standing there like they're FBI agents or some kind of fucking shit. You know, some superiority, big schmucks that are gonna, you know, keep everything under control or some crap like that, you know? So he's standing there, he looks at these guys and goes, what the fuck are these guys doing here? Like, well, what is this? I'm not an entertainer, all right? I'm here to fight. If you want to fight, great. If you don't want to fight, you're wasting my time, you know? That's what he basically said to Jericho before he came out. Jericho then finally shows up. Everyone's singing the song. I'll even openly admit it. I sang his song too. I do all the time. His song is fucking great. Judas is one of the best songs that Fozzie's ever done. No doubt about it. There's been some other ones that he's done that's been pretty good. But that one just, it's like, on cue, you gotta sing it. I mean, if you don't, you're not a true Chris Jericho fan. That's just the way I feel about it. If you don't feel that way, fine. That's fine with me. I don't care. But so Jericho comes in and he says, look, man, I'm here to talk with you. I'm not here to fight. I'm not looking for a confrontation. And Kingston then again, he says, look, man, I'm not a sports entertainer, okay? I'm a fucking wrestler, you know? I'm not here to talk. I'm here to fight. If you don't want to fight, then you're wasting my time. You want to be a sports entertainer, pack up your shit and go elsewhere. To the other place up north, you know? We don't play here. This is AEW. This is not sports entertainment. This is wrestling. This is a wrestling business. This is a wrestling company. You want entertainment? Go up north. Go to that other company. Cody went there. Why don't you go? That would have been fucking hilarious. If he would have mentioned Cody in that promo, holy shit, would people have went nuts. People would have fucking snapped. They would have went ape stick for that. Jericho hit a few soft spots on Eddie Kingston. He goes ahead and he says, look, Eddie Kingston, look, I didn't know who you were when the guys in the back were saying Eddie Kingston's joining, or Eddie's joining with AEW, and he's like, Eddie who? What are you talking about, Eddie? It's very similar to what like The Rock did with Booker T. Like, who the blue hell are you? You know, from 2001 leading into SummerSlam. I know, I'm a fucking wrestling encyclopedia. I can fucking tell you history about different things that took place in different promotions sometimes, depending on how well I'm, you know, educated on it and have watched it on TV or what have you. Mostly WWE stuff I remember. Any of the other small end companies that I'm not familiar with, I'm not going to remember off the top of my head. But when it comes to dates and things that occurred for certain storylines, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get it right. In most cases. So he went in and he said, look, man, I didn't know who the hell you were. I'm going to be honest. He said, when I heard them saying, yay, Eddie's coming, he thought Eddie Edwards from TNA Impact Wrestling was going to show up to AEW, which, by the way, that would have been kind of cool if that was the case, because Eddie Edwards is a damn good wrestler. He's one of the most highly entertaining performers from Impact Wrestling that I actually enjoy watching. He's kind of put on some weight since he's turned into this crazy hardcore wrestler type of mentality. But he's still really good for, you know, where he's at in his career and everything. But he's pretty damn good. So they're shooting the shit. He says, look, man, I didn't know who you were, but I've looked into your background after a while, and I heard you talk on the microphone, and I said, look, man, I told you this. When you first came here and I heard you talk and I saw you wrestle, I said, you got a future in this business. You got a chance to become a major player in this company, possibly even a world champion someday. And Eddie Kingston looked at him and said, look, you can go ahead and tell me all this shit you want to tell me. And, you know, like you do with all the other guys in the back, and, you know, give them a rub and say, hey, you got a future in this company, and bullshit them. But in reality, you'll go ahead and you'll cut them from underneath their feet and take their spot anyway. And he said, you know, something that's weird. That is how you managed to get where you were. He said earlier in the promo, I forgot to mention, Jericho said, you know, it's funny. You made it to the big time at 38 years old. Me, I was making it to the big time at 22 years old. I was wrestling for WCW. Then I went to WW. He went to another promotion. He couldn't say it because they're competition. They're not allowed to say companies that already exist, I guess. Unless it's not WWE, they can say it. But if it is WWE, they can't, apparently. I don't know. But anyway, moving on with this entire segment. He says, look, you know, I did make those. I made it to the company, made it to the big times at 22 years old. And then Kingston struck back with, well, you did that because I wasn't there, number one, and number two, you were backstabbing everybody and cutting their legs from underneath them so that you could get ahead, which is totally untrue. He really didn't do that. At least with WCW. WWE, maybe. He might have done that. He might have not done it. I'm not sure. I get good vibes from Chris Jericho. I really believe that this whole entire promo is really a work with them just doing great shots at one another. I don't think they truly hate each other in any way. I don't think they have real beef with one another in any capacity. I think this was just all a work to entertain us personally and to hype up their match going into Revolution, which was announced, by the way. Eddie Kingston challenged him for the match at Revolution, and Jericho accepted later on in this promo anyway. To make the story short here, he basically accepts it. He says, I've looked into the history about your family and everything. He went kind of like CM Punk route back in 2000, I think it was 12, going into WrestleMania 28. And then they kind of continued on to Extreme Rules. And he went ahead and he said, look, man, I looked into your family history, and your I think he said his uncle was a loser, and he was a failure. His dad was a failure, and he started going into his family history and so forth. Not really describing the details of what made them a failure in life, but he kept saying it over and over again about different family members. And finally, Eddie Kingston snapped, and he lost his cool. And he said, look, Mo, you mofo, don't get in my family shit, okay? That's one thing you don't want to do with me, or I'll kick your ass. And once they accepted, Kingston looked at him and said, look, I don't want Chris Jericho with the Mimosa match that he had with fucking Orange Cassidy, which, by the way, I think that's one of the things that kind of killed Orange Cassidy in a sense. He then went on to say, I don't want the Chris Jericho that's been in AEW even. I want the Chris Jericho of old when he won your very first World Heavyweight Championship. I want the Chris Jericho that flipped the WCW upside down, leaving WCW and making something out of himself with another company. He said, I want the old Jericho. I thought that was a great line, because he said, I want to be able to beat that guy, not this guy that we see in AEW right now. So we might even get, for all we know, we might get some old stuff occur during this match. Like maybe his entrance might be different. He may do his old school Chris Jericho gimmick entrance. Not that he's going to change his actual theme song or anything, but maybe he'll do the countdown shit, and then the lights will go out. He'll come out with his fucking light jacket, the jacket that lights up, and do his pose like he used to back in the day in WWE. And then the lights come back on, and we get maybe an explosion, and then we get the actual Judas song going on. That might be something that we get from this entrance, just to give us a small taste of the old Chris Jericho. So that's a possibility. But yeah, this was a great promo. I didn't even do it justice. Personally, if you did not see Dynamite, go back and watch it. It was an excellent promo by both of these guys. A very long promo as well. But it was entertaining as hell. Better than any fucking match you'll watch on this show tonight. The show, wrestling-wise, I could have taken it or left it. Really, to be perfectly honest with you guys, I just did not care too much for this wrestling-based portion of the show. It really wasn't all that great to me. If it was all based on wrestling, the show would have sucked ass, mostly. Except for the main event with Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia. They did a great job together. But Other than that, I mean, the wrestling was subpar, to be perfectly honest with you. The Battle Royal, that was good. But everything else, take it or leave it. I don't give a shit. Next match after that was Jade Cargill defending her TBS Women's Championship against the Bunny. This match was, whatever. It wasn't nothing special. It was just straight to the point. Jade Cargill wins the match. That's it. Done and over with. Match was ended in like 5 minutes. Felt like I was watching a fucking Goldberg match. Following that, we had Keith Lee backstage. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Ricky Starks had a match with Dark Order number 10. Ricky Starks wins this matchup as well. And after the Jade Cargill match, we actually had Keith Lee backstage. He was cutting a promo. He actually was live on television. Nothing really took place here. It's not in a very important matchup. I mean, it's a number one contenders matchup for the opportunity to challenge for the TNT Championship. The best thing that they could do right now at this point is have Keith Lee win this ladder match and then challenge for the TNT Championship. To have Sammy Guevara go over would probably be something they could do, or they could just skyrocket him straight to the TNT Championship and then have him lose the title to someone they really want to give the opportunity to that hasn't had it yet, that's been on the AEW roster for a while. That's what I would do. I mean, if you want to bring back Miro at some point, I think he's dealing with a shoulder injury or some kind of shit. You want to bring him back for a one-on-one match with Keith Lee, I would be all for that. That would be a fucking... I mean, I know a lot of people say dream matches, but I mean, this match would technically be almost like a dream match. So Keith Lee's backstage. He said that him and Ricky Starks do have some history, and Ricky Starks said, we'll save that history for the Revolution pay-per-view. And Will Hobbs was with him as well. So Will Hobbs kind of had a stare down with Keith Lee, which I would be okay with that match. Two juggernauts going at it. Two big boys. I would definitely go for that match. Just without no championship, I would go for that 100%. All right, so next up was the main event. Main event was Daniel Garcia versus Bryan Danielson. This was a solid, entertaining main event. Wasn't nothing special that really took place. Bryan Danielson eventually locked in the triangle chokes, posed like as if he was Nate Diaz in the middle of the ring, flexing his biceps, and he wins the match with a choke. He basically chokes him out, passes out, and he goes to sleep. Match ends. Then we have 2.0 show up. They attack Bryan Danielson, and out comes Jon Moxley. He comes to the rescue, beats all the guys up with Bryan Danielson. And Bryan Danielson grabs the microphone and he says, look, if I got to fight you and bleed with you in order for you to give me an answer to whether or not we could work as a team and build a great alliance together as well as young stars, then I accept your match at Revolution. There's only one small problem, Moxley. You may be the only one bleeding after this is all said and done. And Moxley had a grin on his face like he was very happy to hear that, as if he wanted to go ahead and bleed anyway. Man, Moxley sounds like fucking Sandman from ECW, for God's sakes. The guy likes to bleed. I mean, Sandman used to smash beer cans across his fucking skull. Or up against the skull, I should say. And make himself bleed before the match even started. So, I mean, Moxley's pretty crazy, man. I gotta give him credit. He's a crazy motherfucker. But very entertaining, and he's a pretty damn good wrestler as well. So, these two guys going at it. The dog collar match between CM Punk and MJF's a good match. I think that could even be a main event. And then Eddie Kingston and Jericho. Those are some 3 great, solid, entertaining rivalry matches taking place. And these aren't even fucking championship matches. That's pretty impressive. Really, that is an impressive lineup right there. Just those 3 matches alone. Then we got the world title match with Hangman Page and Adam Cole. I think that's going to be a good match, despite the build didn't really get the proper build I felt it needed. But other than that, I really think that they're going to have a good match. But I don't see this match as main event. I think the dog collar match between CM Punk and MJF really should be the main event. They have a better storyline built into it. It feels more main event-ish. And not to mention, we're looking to build a new star. MJF is that new star. CM Punk is that guy that deserves to have a main event spot along with MJF, because these 2 guys have worked their asses off since the end of Full Gear. After Full Gear, these 2 actually had confrontations with each other. They've had, issues with one another. They've had a full-blown, from pay-per-view to the next pay-per-view, build with one another. Despite the one match that they did that ended with a screwjob finish. But nonetheless, this was a really good build. Out of every match being placed on this card, this and Eddie Kingston versus Jericho are the 2 best matches. CM Punk and MJF and Eddie Kingston and Jericho, they both have been building towards this. Now, they kind of took a pause on Kingston in this whole situation to insert Santana Ortiz to leave the Inner Circle. And that was just Kingston being an instigator and screwing up the Inner Circle's whole momentum, which, by the way, the fucking Santana Ortiz did not win the Battle Royal, so that goes to show you that Jericho wasn't holding them down. They're just not qualified enough yet to be good enough to win tag team title gold. That's all it is to it. So, there you go. But bottom line, Kingston, Jericho building towards their pay-per-view has been good, but I wouldn't consider that main event-esque. But the dog collar match with CM Punk and MJF is the proper match to put in the main event spot. Despite the fact there's no world title on the line, I would make that the main event. I really would. But that's just my feelings on it. At this time, guys, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And of course, as always, leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. And I thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.